I was waiting for the passenger to arrive to start the train.
Okay. Otherwise, only the engine will go.
No, engine cannot. Engine has no mood to go anywhere, right? Why it should go? But it's
I don't know, some problem with my team, so I have to log in, log out, log in, log out.
Okay. No worries. So yesterday, Padma Shree's question made me to realize many things.
Oh.
So it's a nice question about that Dvaita and Advaita discussion was good. So after I kept the call, I wanted to call back saying that, now this is what I experienced. So anyway, so let's take that question. See, the thing is this way, that if we take a practical example, there are many practical examples we can say. So we'll first take from spirituality. If we take Ramana Maharshi, or if you take Swami Vivekananda to Ramkrishna Paramahamsa, they were able to remove their mind from their body. So if a surgeon would come and cut a part of the body, they never used to feel anything, because you can withdraw the sense of touch. If a person is able to withdraw that, the mind has withdrawn, the consciousness will not establish there. So it becomes like a log of wood. So for those people, so to answer to Padma Shree's question that, okay, if this feeling is there, so bodily feeling, but actually bodily feeling is created by the mind. As such, body has no feeling. But since mind creates that feeling, we feel fatigue in the body, we feel heat in the body, or we feel pain in the body, as all kind of pains. So the consciousness arrives in two ways. It arrives as the body, and also it arrives as mind. And mind being the forerunner of everything, it will control how the body should feel. So many a time when you are meditating, let's say, and a mosquito bites, you will never come to know, or forget meditating. You are engrossed in watching something, or you are watching WhatsApp, or you are working or doing something, the mosquito bites and nobody knows. If the body knew that mosquito is going to bite, would you think it would have allowed? It won't have, because the body is inert, it doesn't have anything to sense. So the mosquito will bite and go away, and then after a few minutes, there is this blister coming up, or an inflammation, and it creates a biting sensation, and then the person will scratch that biting sensation. So actually what is happening is, if the brain was able to know the mosquito bite, it wouldn't have allowed, it would have shooed it away. Only when the consciousness comes there, then the person will try to escape that mosquito bite or whatever it is. Similarly, when we go to sleep every day, and the body goes to sleep, when it enters into dream state, the body is gone. So at that time, if there is a mosquito crawling, or biting, or let us say a termite crawling, or a insect crawling, or whatever, that person might not really feel it. And if the person goes to deep sleep, he is like a log. Except for consciousness, the mind is sleeping. So the minimum activities what has to be done is happening. So only the breathing is happening, because breathing is connected with, not only with the mind, but also it's connected with prana. So there is this thing which is happening. So basically the idea of spirituality is to come out of the senses. So when we say coming out of the senses, it means that you are able to remove the sense from the sense object, number one, and to stop the sense from interaction in the mind. Because as if you really observe, then your eyes cannot hear, ears cannot see, nose cannot eat and taste, that is, the tongue cannot smell or anything like that. Okay, so they know what they are supposed to do. They are behind the sense objects of their own kind. The mind makes up everything, it combines everything and showcases all the experiences what we are seeing. So if one were to withdraw the mind of its senses and sense object, then there is no feeling. And this is where Madhvacharya wanted to say, my dear friend, this task is inhuman. I mean, sorry, is superhuman, because it's not an easy task to withdraw the senses and the sense object. So you need to have bhakti as the marga rather than jnana as the marga. So the jnana cannot happen without bhakti, because all people are not as intelligent as you, so they cannot withdraw the senses from the sense object. Even though that is true, Brahman is the only reality, but the world is sensed by the sense. So you can't then say there is no sense. There is sense, and it's being sensed. That means if somebody is standing in hot sun, he is going to sweat, and you can't say sweat is an illusion, or like biting of an insect is an illusion. That is, or let us say somebody slaps, and then you say, hey, it's an illusion. There's nobody slapped. And what would be the answer? Have you gone mad? I think you need to go to a mental asylum, because I can feel you have hit me. So then the world is real, because in the world of senses, all of this would happen. So there would be sight, and there would be sound, and there would be taste, there would be touch, and there would be smell. All the five are going to be there, and that's called as the world. So when somebody withdraws, gets the ability to withdraw the senses, then he is on the jnana, because now he has got the jnana that there is no person, it's only the five senses and the sense object which has been working. Then he has understood profoundly, now he can withdraw the senses from the sense object. Now, experientially speaking, in my own experience, I am able to get rid of sound, I am able to get rid of taste, and I am able to get rid of smell. I am still working on the sense of touch and sense of sight. Sight, I have almost mastered it. Only the touch part I have to master it. If I can master these other two, then I can withdraw the senses from the sense object. That's possible. Now, this is what Advaita is all about. And not able to do it is what Dvaita is all about. Okay. So if you want to be an Advaiti, then you need to learn how to withdraw the senses and the sense object. The problem is that there is no teacher in Advaita Vedanta who can show you how it is done presently. And without a guru, you cannot do it. And majorly, to do it, the Shad Sampatti has to be completely grasped, and the person should work. And Sadhana Chatushtaya has to be mastered. If we don't do any one of those, escaping from the sense doors and the sense objects is next to impossible in Advaita. So then what's the alternative? The alternative is go by Bhakti Yoga. Create a deity in your mind, pray to that deity, offer everything to the deity, then you surrender to the deity, and that deity will eventually help you, because you are given the prana to that deity, and that deity is supposed to help you, provided you dedicate yourself to that deity all the 24 hours. No wife, no son, no daughter, no home, no this, no that. just I and the deity. There is nothing else. So if the food is coming, the food is coming due to the deity. If a person is coming, his person is coming to the due to the deity. If the person is going due to deity. If somebody is dying because of a deity. If somebody is born due to deity. So that is the dedication or the devotion what is required, and the person doesn't mind dying for that deity. If that can be mastered, again the person will merge from Dvaita to Advaita. But if we were to do part of this and part of that and part of something else, it's not going to help because the intellect will become sharper. That's good. But the senses and the sense objects cannot be dislodged. It will still recognize when sees a person that this person is my daughter, or this person is my son, or my wife, or husband, or this my home, and this and that. So Jagat is indeed Satya, and Brahman is also Satya. So now what happens is there are two Satyas. So the delusion has still not gone. And Shankara is very correct in saying that. There's not even a word different that why he says the person still lies in delusion. He is in delusion. There is no thing called as wife or husband or home or whatever it is. But this person feels that he has a home, he has a wife, he has a son, he has a daughter, he has this, he has that, he has parents, he has things to take care, and he has a profession, and he has a society, and he is doing this for society and that for society. So then the world is real, absolutely real. And there is no mukti for a person who believes that world is real. It cannot be, and it wouldn't be. So what's the end goal of that person who is believing that the world is real and the Brahman is also real? Well, if he follows the moral conduct of life, he will be born as a Deva. If he has even more moral conduct of life, he will be born as a Brahma. Even if he has still more moral qualities of life, he will be reborn in Vishnu Loka, which would be even more better than any other lokas. And he can stay there for a long period of time and come back to this samsara. So there is no liberation if we have Dvaita. That is, world exists and the Brahman also exists. It cannot lead to liberation at all. It will lead to realization, but not liberation.
Vilas,
Yeah.
if that is it that kind of message is clearly known to these Dvaitis from Madhvacharya? But my understanding is all these three matas, their ultimate goal is complete moksha, liberation, and that is what promised by these three acharyas. But from your now this knowledge session, it gives a feel that for Dvaitis, they will not get it with their effort in this particular life.
Actually, if you read the scriptures of the Madhvacharya or the commentaries written after that, it only talks about Vishnu Loka. So as per...
Is it confused that Vishnu Loka and the Brahman is same? Is their thinking? And
yes,
our understanding is different?
No, it is treated as the same. It is treated like Brahman is Vishnu.
See, if that is so, there is no difference between this Christianity and Islam and
Yes.
even Dvaita.
Yes,
because all are talking about you will reach that God.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But
so
that was not my understanding.
No, the thing is like this, but see, the reality per se, the question is on reality. What is real? Shankara says Brahman is the only reality.
Yes.
That means I should be able to let go of the world, right?
Yeah.
What is the world? The world is made out of five senses.
Correct.
Now, will I be able to let go of the five senses? Now, yes, I
But-
want to let go of
Right
five.
now, here
Vilas,
possible
one
is
thing,
Advaita.
one thing at this juncture I wanted to intervene.
Yes.
Because if see Brahman, again, that word, meaning it's a word, it is coined by us again. Okay,
Yes.
it is coined by the human beings.
Yes.
If somebody says Vishnu Loka or Vishnu or Narayana is Brahman, it is the same. I have named it as Narayana.
Exactly.
How
Absolutely
does
agreed.
it matter? How does it matter? So
It doesn't
where do
matter.
we see the difference between these two?
It doesn't matter, Padmashri. You can call it as anything, or anybody can call anything. The
And
reality.
and that is one. The second factor is that it is not about any following any religion. It is about when we are in this world, all of us are in the Dvaiti mode only, because we still consider something as outside. There are only few of us who really, few of us in the sense, few in the humanity who really realize that there is nothing other than that.
Correct.
There is nothing other than Brahman. Otherwise, all of us are living in
the Dvaita world only. Yes, absolutely.
world
And that is the reason I appreciate Madhvacharya for giving that clarity that every human being is coming by his own grades. So he made that this Taratamya, and he also created that Panchabeda, and he also explained what is Bimba Pratibimba. I really appreciate that Acharya for doing that, because the presumption before Madhvacharya is everybody can attain this, and he said no, it's not. So Padmashri, you're 100% right that all are Dvaitis, whether they agree they are Dvaiti or they don't agree they are Dvaiti. Every human being is a Dvaita. None of them are an Advaita in any given way. Not possible. Because every human being is connected to the senses, or rather all beings are connected to the senses, and human is no exception. The only difference here is that a human being has an intellect far superior than the animals and the other beings in the lower realm of existence, who don't, or who understand, or who can't understand what the senses is all about, whereas the intellect of human can understand what the sense can do and what sense cannot do. So you're right.
And that is where the Vitarka Vichara starts, and
Yes.
then you are moving to the different levels.
Exactly. So now let us say I am not able to give up this quest of touch or sense of sight or sound or taste or whatever that is, including the thoughts, the six senses. And if I am not able to let go of these senses and am associated with the senses, then in that case, God is somewhere, I am somewhere. So I need to meet the God, which is basically whatever any religion or any identity is all about, which is fair. So every religion is a Dvaiti religion, and every person is a Dvaiti. There is not even one single Advaiti who can say that here is where I did this and I have removed the senses from sense object. Everybody is in their own sense and then sense objects. So they still identify with the senses. So what Shankara is talking about in this Vivekachudamani, what we have taken right now, he believes that the person who is reading it have already mastered the Shad Sampatti. That is, he has taken all the six: Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha. All the six have been mastered. Then he has understood and is able to live by the sadhana chatustaya. So now he knows what is viveka, he knows what is vairagya, shat sampatti, and mumukshatva has got established in him or her. And having done so, what is he doing? He knows what are the senses, he knows what are the sense object. He has removed the association of the senses and the sense object by Shama and Dama. And he has started disregarding the seeing and the tasting and the touching and the feeling and all that. And then he is having titiksha, because you require that endurance to stop the flow of the senses and the sense object. So when I say my wife is coming, there's a sense of wife. And what am I trying to say? That there is no sense of a wife. That means no longer I consider her presence either disturbing me or doing anything as an attraction or repulsion. Okay, so something similar with sound and taste and touch and all that. So if I am able to do that, sadhana chatushtaya, and still I am seeing that the world is real, then I am wrong. That means my sadhana has not happened. Before the sadhana, going to the Nidhidhyasana is impossible. So first is Shravana. So you have to learn the concept. Manana, this is where the person has to dedicate 80 to 90% of his time. And then Nidhidhyasana is a period when he gives up everything and he is established in that. Unless we do that, unless we dedicate for this and make liberation as the only reason why you are born as a human, not for anything else. If that gets established, then only it is possible. Otherwise, we are Dvaiti. So I just wanted to give that clarity on this Advaita and Dvaita. So we are all Dvaitis wanting to become Advaiti. If it happens, good. If it doesn't happen, that is how it is. So that is where we are. Any question?
No, not from me.
So journey is from Dvaita to Advaita.
Always.
And route is either Bhakti route or Jnana route.
Jnana route, yes. So for those people who cannot let go of senses and sense object through Jnana, they have to go through Bhakti.
Correct.
Because now I'm not able to see. See, now let us say, take an example. Yesterday I was talking to my wife after the session. So I asked her this question. Look, we had this beautiful argument happening on Advaita and Dvaita. If you were sitting, you would have enjoyed it. So, who is an Advaiti? Okay. And she said, one who can withdraw senses is an Advaiti. I said, perfect answer. I appreciate your answer. So if you can work out on that, beautiful. So I told her that yesterday. Then we started discussing on how this withdrawal of senses can be done and all that. So,
So Nidhidhyasana is not applied for this was applied for Advaita, you know. For Dvaita, there is nothing called Nidhidhyasana, it's only Bhakti, right?
Yes, there's only Bhakti.
And this is Jnana, that means it is following what you call completely in the meditation and in that direction.
Yes. So without dhyana, this cannot happen.
But you have to forgo all these five senses in Bhakti also. You have to forget everything and be there in Bhakti.
That is correct. So now,
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
correct.
That is why I feel Bhakti and Jnana, if you are really separating them out for too long, I feel that is also a kind of ignorance, because if you look at I'm just referring to that, this one of the prologue of Bhajagovindam, which was given by Rajaji. He very clearly says if you keep on separating out Bhakti and Jnana, then that is also not a very... Because Bhakti is not... But as long as you define Bhakti as I sit in front of God and do Deeparadhana, take flowers and puja, if that is what is defined as Bhakti, then perhaps yes, it is different. But Bhakti is not that. Bhakti means surrender is what I feel.
Yes, absolutely.
Bhakti is complete surrender.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but when ego is zero, surrendering that Ajna Chakra, then naturally you are with the Brahman, correct?
Yes, is what I feel.
That is correct. So now there are two ways of doing it. You do it through knowledge or you do through a deity bhakti. Take a deity and offer yourself to it. That means, like what Padmashri said, you surrender to that deity.
And see, again, there is also in Bhakti Marga also, you have two options. One is that you can think it's a deity. Another thing, you can think that it is completely Brahman. It depends on what you think.
I was wanting to tell that.
Yad
Surrendering to
bhavam
Brahman
tadrupam.
is what I was saying.
No, this is where, no, I agree, but this is where a person gets stuck. He gets so muddled up that neither he can go this side or that side. And if you've seen all those people who have done, they have done either of the one.
Yeah, see, again, yad bhavam tadrupam. In that, wherever there's a bhava is there is a bhakti and you are reaching there. But in Advaitam, even that bhava is also you are dropping. There is no yad bhava.
Yes.
And then you are reaching there. When you see the Buddhism approach, there is nothing called bhakti. It is just meditation and reach there.
Correct.
And even doing namaskaram, sashtanga namaskaram, nothing is allowed there. It is just go there. So this is what we follow is some ritualistic way, and we are reaching there. They are directly reaching there.
Okay. Yeah.
No, what I don't know why we are always considering ritual is equal to bhakti, because ritual is not bhakti. Because any of these dasa padas or Meera Bhajan you listen to, they never talk about any of the rituals. No ritual is included. I don't know, we are always stuck with bhakti with equivalent to ritual. Bhakti is not at all ritual, and bhakti does not mean that we are talking about one God, one name and all that. If you equate that God with what we call as Brahman, as that particular one deity or whatever you have considered, I think it is equal. That is what is Bhagavad Gita also telling. Krishna says, I am Brahman there. And he okay, of course we know it as Mahabharata, where Krishna is a friend to Arjuna, but then if you equate the Bhagavad Gita to the way we are leading life, the Brahman is the Krishna that is there, and all of us are represented by Arjuna there. So I have a feeling we are whenever we are talking about bhakti in this discussions, we are always equating it to ritual. We are always equating it to deity. We say one deity we should have, Devi we should have, that we should have. I don't think they are all associated. It is just that Brahman is given again. Okay, you want to give a name and form, you give it, but then you don't even need to have a name and form to that. And associating yourself to that is the surrender that you are doing, and that is bhakti, is what I feel. I don't know. That is where I'm always fighting with myself when I'm listening to this bhakti portion which is getting discussed here. I don't know. I'm not able to accept that ritual is what you are all considering it as bhakti.
No, I didn't say that at all. So let us get the clarity on the what is bhakti and what is shraddha and then what is jnana. Okay. Now bhakti is surrender. That's all. To whatever it is. Shraddha is belief in that surrender. You know that you have surrendered it correctly. Jnana is what you get out of it. That is, whatever experiences you are having is the jnana. It's nothing to do with ritual. But rituals have got muddled up with that. It is a separate issue. But bhakti is surrender. Now, if you surrender, jnana is definite through shraddha. That's a step. So now you have two aradhana. One without any deity or anything, and you are considering that as Brahman or Vishnu or whatever you want to consider. That is up to you. That becomes the saguna bhava. Then the person goes into the nirguna bhava. So there is no guna. That means that person has transcended the sattva, rajas and tamas. So from tamas, the person has come into the sattva. So when he comes to sattva, he gets that whatever he has, yad bhavam tad bhavati. So he will get that experience which is saguna. So whatever he wanted, as he has surrendered, and that is the reason he is able to see, and the shraddha will grow. And that form, whatever he has created, will then give him the jnana. So in the case of Bhagavad Gita, we can take Krishna as that Saguna Brahman, who is giving the knowledge to all Arjunas sitting here, saying that, look, I am the Brahman, I am taking care of everything. So why are you worried about it? Okay, sir, whatever you say, I will do it. So then you are experiencing the jnana. Okay, so this is how it is. So you are right, Padma Shri, that it has got nothing to do with the ritual. Did I answer it correctly on bhakti?
Yeah. Now we are, meaning at least I feel aligned to what you are telling now.
And that's all what it is. Now, the rituals will come to please. So now you come to the lowest form of bhakti, wherein you need to please the deity. So now you need to pray, you need to do 100 flowers, you need to prostrate, you need to do that and this. That has got nothing to do with it. Just like people going to temples or churches or to mosque, they don't believe that from their home to reaching to the temple, God is required. They believe God is sitting there. This real bhakti is that person is aware from the time he has woken up to the time he is sleeping that God resides in him. That is the bhakti.
Here, when you have Saguna Brahman, Saguna, it is also a Murti Aradhana, right?
Yes.
So when you Murti Aradhana, naturally, whatever you are having in your home, you have one small photo, that's Murti. Then what you are doing to that Murti is through ritual bhakti.
Yes. That is the lowest form of
that
bhakti.
That is called ritual bhakti,
First
right?
thing is that it is not at all a Murti Aradhana. It is just that you have named the Brahman. That's all. It is not Aradhana of that. You are not. I don't know why we are mixing this sitting and praying and putting puja photo in the puja room is called bhakti. That is not at all bhakti. That is just a ritual which because we are brought up in this mode, we are doing it. But that has got nothing to do with bhakti at all. Bhakti is the one which is residing inside you, where you can trust that there is a power that is there inside you, and you call that the XYZ name. But I don't feel that this Aradhana which we put a Murti which is there in the puja room and then we do Aradhana to it has got anything to do with bhakti.
No,
and unfortunately, because we have always called that as bhakti, we start to define bhakti as bhakti is towards a deity is what we are always equating it. And I feel that it is that is very misleading, because we are always moving and saying that is where we have to move out from. But bhakti is not that. First of all, we define bhakti as doing a puja to some murti, and then we say we should be moving away from that. Bhakti is not that at all, is what I feel. And at least the little that I have read, nowhere the people who are talking about bhakti talk about that. And in fact, they even, in a very sarcastic way, even Purandaradasa has told about why you do all those kinds of things. Even Kanakadasa has told about those kinds of things. The little that I have read, I feel that nowhere that puja vidhis or having a murti at your home and then putting flowers to that is identified as bhakti. Nowhere I felt it was identified as bhakti.
Very correct.
My understanding is bringing that ego to zero is bhakti. Yes, that process. That process can be kayena vacha, mansendriyarva, vidhyatmanava, prakrute swabhava, karomi yadyat, sagalam parasmai, narayana iti samarpayam. That's what we just do. So that means you are doing kaya, vacha, manasa, surrendering. And kaya surrendering is through the ritual process, is my understanding. The moment you forget about your kaya, the panchendriyas you have forgotten, then you are there bhakti to bhakti. So the ritual has got its own advantage to reach that level, but it is a process, is my understanding. And I am used to understand bhakti as that way. First you are going, you are reaching somewhere, understanding, then you forget about all that. It's like a rocket, that outer first layer is taken out, something similar. I don't know, Vilas, you can guide us. For me, this is also a starting part of bhakti.
Yes, so see, I'll tell you what. what Padma Shri says is very, very true. 1 second. 1 minute. Hello. ಹೇಳಿ ಮಹೇಶ್.
I
Good
think
discussion. Good
yeah,
discussion.
it's good. Yeah, the thing is, then why this puja system is introduced in so-called Hinduism? Why there are temples, and why they brought all that knowledge to your home, and so that father mother can give the first education about the bhakti through
This one have you-
audio visuals. Then you can go to next level of bhakti of what you are talking.
Okay.
Correct, but have you read this one reason behind temples? Of course, today we see temples cropping up every place, but actually, temple is not for praying at all. Temple is for meditating, because that kind of a location that is there gives a lot of power.
That
It is not meant for praying or beautifying the idol that is there, etc. It is not for that one at all.
Agreed, Padma Shri. So let me give clarity. Yes, today you are in a very firing mode. I really appreciate you. Very good. So
No. Every time, because I feel that bhakti is misunderstood with
Yes.
this one. That is why.
Okay, and let me put in a very proper sequence. When the temple architecture was made, the temple architecture has the aspect of nature, and also it has the aspect of vibration. Also, it has aspect of what material or what element should be used, so that a person sitting there and looking at the light and how he can meditate. Yeah, Padma Shri is absolutely right in saying that it is for meditation. And olden temples used to be always black and no light. It would have been only a small lamp in front of the deity, and not decorated also, because the more the decoration, it comes into kama, and you will have krodha and all that appearing because the way it is decorated. So this, the temple architecture was made on that foundation. And number two is that there was nothing called as low bhakti and high bhakti and all that. Bhakti was only bhakti wherein you surrender to the self inside you, not outside of you. You can create one god in yourself and call it by whatever name, and there is nothing called as idol worship to be done. But slowly what happened is that in the 1000, that is from 900 and odd, the common era, to 15, 16, 17, 1800s, let's say, if we take it, lot of murti and aradhana, all of this started. And Padma Shri is also right that even Kanakadasa, Purandaradasa, and all the dasas have commented that by doing this you will never get anything. In fact, Kanakadasa had even had a real problem created for himself when he wrote about that 84 lakh GV, which we already finished, Dasanagu Visheshanagu. So that is from his own rendering, saying that going to Kaveri and Ganga, Yamuna, and getting bath done, all that ritual is not going to help you in liberation. Okay, it should be only the bhakti of yourself. The self which is inside you will reveal itself. So you have to, the ego has to surrender to that. And once you are on that path, create Shraddha, and that Shraddha and Bhakti creates Jnana. So because that was not possible, so people started believing that there should be a lower form of Bhakti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started that sect called as the ISKCON, or ISKCON came out of that. So when you can have these idols made and then you devote yourself to that, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was able to transcend from the lower bhakti to the highest bhakti, and then from that to Shraddha and the Jnana Marga. So he was able to do it. Similarly, after Kanakadasa and Purandaradasa and all these dasas, people started following whatever they were praying. So then the Udupi Sri Krishna Mutt became a famous attraction because everybody has written about Udupi. And that means only the Udupi Krishna is the Krishna and no other Krishna is the Krishna. So the people started associating like that. Because at that time from Vijayanagar, Purandaradasa used to walk towards Udupi, and he has written that very nice the Dasa Pada called as Udupiya Kandira, Udupiya Krishnana Kandira. So people started praying that okay, that means if you go to Udupi, that means the Krishna will bless you, otherwise Krishna will not bless. So his meaning of Udupi Kandira, Udupi Krishna Kandira is from what he was saying. It's not about what deity and how that was worshipped and all that. So basically, it has got muddled up so badly that today what you have as bhakti is more or less an idol worship with some hymns being said and some flowers to be put. And I agree with Padma Shri saying that that is not at all bhakti, because that is has got nothing to do with it. But since we don't have anything to call other than devotion, so bhakti has become a part of devotion. That means you have to do aradhana. Actually, aradhana means devotion. It's not bhakti meaning devotion, but anyway, people use same word in different context. So presently we are stuck everywhere, either with temple or church or with mosque or whatever places of worship. So it becomes place of worship. That means you are here and there is a place to worship. So you have to go and meet that person, because that person is immovable. He cannot come and meet you. So you have to go and meet that person. Actually, if you are in bhakti, the person is always there with you. There's nothing like you go and meet him. But then it has so happened that we go and meet. And we have put that person in higher pedestal because we think we are very much lower pedestal. Nobody understands that even to walk there, you require the same energy. It's not that the energy sits there and I'm sitting here. Even for that, you require the same energy which makes you walk from here to there. So if we were to really apply tena vina trinamapi na chalati, that means even our walking and talking and my talking here or brushing the teeth or whatever we do is also because of that. We don't believe it. We say that I am brushing and I am eating, I am doing it, and I'm now going to Udupi. So I'm going there for Sri Krishna's mutt. So I'm going to do this puja, and I'm paying this much of money to that deity, and they are going to do a special puja for me. And that is all stupidity, because that is not a bhakti. That is trading actually. So we have brought things to a real bad shape in whichever religion that is, but that is how humanity is all about. So now coming back to this clarification, yes, bhakti is what truly it should be self surrender. That is, the ego surrenders itself, and then it reveals the true nature of the self. And once that happens, there is a tremendous shraddha in that person, or the savikalpa samadhi what the person has undergone. And from then he will leave that savikalpa side of it and enters into the nirvikalpa. Now, for clarity's sake, or for naming it, we have named it as Brahman, we can name it as Vishnu, or we can name it as whoever, whatever it is. Now the thing comes, what is real and what is unreal? Real is no name, no form. Unreal is name and form. That's all what it is. Whether you follow this way or you follow that way, whichever way it is, the five senses are unreal, five sense objects are unreal. That which is running this five senses and five sense object, which also includes mind, which comes under this five senses, five sense object, is called as Brahman, or can be called as God, can be called as Nirvana, can be called by whatever names, because that energy has got nothing to do with these five senses and the five sense object. So that is the concept of Advaita, that you go from duality of life, where the senses and sense objects are treated as real, and you drop them off because those are appearing. The senses are appearing because of consciousness. They don't have an independent entity to appear, they just are there. So it's not my sense or your sense. I have five senses, you also have five senses, and every being in this world have five senses. It's not that they have bought it or brought it or they have developed it or nurtured it. It is there, but that is unreal. Reason being that the senses keeps on changing depending upon the object being brought forward and object not being brought forward. So it is objectification which is the problem, because it goes behind the sense object and the mind makes things up. It adds up what is seen and what is tasted, what is sensed and what is smelt and all that, and brings it to a form, like a human form or a deity form or a animal form or whatever. Actually it's only five senses. Now this is the Maya Jala. That is, this five senses creation is a Maya Jala. So you need to come out, or everyone needs to come out of this Maya Jala, either by following direct Jnana Marga, meaning you already know how things work and you're going there, or adopt to the self surrender, that is the ego which is there within the mind. Go to the self surrender mode and then establish the Jnana through Shraddha. So here also you have the bhakti is already there in this person who is going towards Jnana, because he is already surrendered or he knows how to surrender, and then there is tremendous Shraddha in the path what he is following, and then he gets the Jnana. So both will take to the same outcome of liberation. So for now, when we don't have that, meaning when we consider that the five senses are mine and they are what I am, then it is Dvaita, because it is delusion. So that is the shloka, or that's the verse what Shankara was talking about. Question. Today I love it.
And going to temple is not advisable for people like us. That's what is the message, right? Because
Yes.
it is ritual.
Yes.
And it is a place for meditation. If I have a place within my home, that is a better place for me to meditate. No need to go to temple.
Yes. Absolutely.
Is it coming out of our heart? I know that it's coming out of
no. The reason
Vilas
why
heart.
this no the reason why old temples were built was to have that frequency already defined using. See, like if you use nickel, if you use gold, if you use cadmium, and if you use mercury and all this, they create the vibration. So for those people who are not able to concentrate, they can get into the temple and they get into the full concentration. So they can get into samadhi quickly. But if that is happening in your home, let's say, you don't have to go to temple, because the whole idea of going to temple was to establish samadhi. So you're going to establish savikalpa samadhi and then going into the nirvikalpa samadhi. It has got nothing to do with what deity you believe or you don't believe. It is nothing to do with that. But when my mind is not fixing things up, so I should have one focus. So the focus can be a deity, a focus can be Krishna or Rama or whomever I believe. For time being, it is like the mantra. I need to utter the mantra for time being, and then I need to drop the mantra, because now my mind is established. So
similarly, there is no need of doing any japa and tapa inside our home.
Yes.
Best thing is to do is only meditation.
Yes. That is the reason why it was made. And I agree with Padma Shri on the self-surrender is the right way of bhakti, not the ritualistic thing what we are doing. And there have been a lot of comments even by Shankara for doing rituals. It is there.
So, correct. And the Vedic approach, if you see 10,000 years ago, there was no temple. They had only Agni and then doing Homa and Havana.
Yes.
whether that is also required or not.
That is not required. Actually, that is what Shankara started commenting when he saw these sacrifices being done. He said that what madness you have to do all of these things. That will not lead anywhere.
That I think that has happened later. Not that Shankaracharya's time is very late. I'm talking about 10,000 years ago when that when they
then when they
got
were
that,
doing
Apaurusheya knowledge in the form of
Yes.
Veda. That's all. Now it has come to this level.
Yes.
So for that, during those days, they used to do the homa, not with I think this animal bali and all that.
Correct.
They used to do homa in a very sattvic way.
No, actually, what time that time it was done. Even if you were to read the Veda, the Rig Veda, it starts with Agni.
Yeah.
Because out of the 5 elements, you can only have 2 elements with you. One is water and one is fire. So you can start the purification of the 5 elements by starting with fire and water. So you will have Varuna, you will have Agni, you will have Soma, you have all of this because that is what is there, which is physically available. The other 3 elements like Prithvi, then the Vayu, and then the Akasha, you cannot really catch it. It's not possible. So only 2 elements out of 5 can be taken by the 5 senses. So they used to start with that and then transcend it into the other 3 elements and thus purifying all the 5 elements. So when the Bhuta Shuddhi happens, the Chitta Shuddhi automatically happens. And due to that reason.
One more thing during those times is that was the only way that they could transfer the information from one generation to the other generation,
Correct.
Right? Because they would not write it and keep it.
Yes.
So what is being done with Agni, that purification, is just a symbolic of what you need to do inside.
No,
and
that is also there.
To tell that maybe there was no way of putting it all in paper and pencil and storing it as notes. Maybe that was the reason, because we don't exactly know how this one evolved. The whole thing could be very ritual. The rituals were developed only to remember certain things, because it was easy to remember things when you do it as a ritual.
Yes, I agree. See, the thing
and that is why many of us in the Gurukula also, first we start with by-hearting the things. The children are taught to by-heart. They actually don't even know the meaning of anything when they are starting at 6, or once the Upanayanam is done and then they go into the Gurukula, they don't have the understanding of anything, but they are allowed to by-heart the whole thing. And after that, slowly they get into it. So those are all steps taken, is what I feel. The steps are not the goals, but those were the steps at that time. So if today, if we are looking at people like Adi Shankara and Madhvacharya, or anybody who is taking us into the spiritual path, we already have moved so much into that we don't need to go back and do those rituals to go into that actual aspect of it, is what I feel.
Right. See, the ritual portion of anything, and that's the reason even in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 7 verses, he says that Vedas talk about the ritual side and you should not be doing that. You need to only look at the salvation side of the Vedas. Don't go by the rituals. And he says that in the 2nd chapter. So it is up to the person to decide what he is or she is aiming for.
I think I just wanted to say that sentence again. Krishna says you don't follow Vedanta.
No, he says that don't follow the ritualistic side of the Vedas. Verse number 47, 48, like that. If you go, he'll explain that. He says that Veda talk about rituals and you should not be following them. There is another, in the Veda itself, there is without karma kanda, that you have to follow.
I think I have no clarity. It's available in which Veda? Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, which Veda?
All the 4 Vedas you have.
They have karma kanda.
Yes, if you have karma kanda, you also have something to do with coming with salvation. That is also there, both in the Vedas. See, The suktas talk about the salvation.
Ah.
And there are, when you start with Agni and all that, it is about the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas. And where it is written, it is there in the Bhagavad Gita itself. If you go to the second chapter, he explains there,
Mhm.
which we have already covered.
So pure form of Veda is only knowledge,
Yes, Veda is knowledge only.
and Karma Kanda is all these rituals.
Yes.
So that is Karma Kanda is not Aparushya then. Only Aparushya is only Veda
Yes.
without Karma Kanda.
Yes. And
So
we,
then it is not called Veda. It is something like Upanishad, somebody's interpretation, right?
no, it's not like
Not
that.
even Upanishad. It is Karma Kanda only. Upanishad is the details of Veda available for us to understand. Commentary.
Yes, 1 second. I'm just opening that verse and you can see it for yourself. 1 second. Veda Vinashinam Nityam. So that verse I want to.
It is there. It is 21. Veda Vinashinam Nityam Ya Ena Maja Mavyayam Katham Sa Purusha Partha Kam Ghatayati Antikam.
Verse number 21, right?
Yeah.
1 minute, let me open that.
That is about Purusha.
No. Then there is 1 minute. 1 minute. There is something on the Veda also. He says it talks about this, and you should the path of karma. Now I think I'm going to get that.
Every time when you read the Bhagavad Gita gives a different perspective.
Go
So
to
nice.
verse number 42.
42.
Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti vipaschitaha vedava darataha partha nanyadasti iti vadinaha. Yam imam pushpitam vacham. That speech which is like a flowering. Pravadanti avipaschitaha is uttered by the unwise. Vedavat arthaha, that is delighting in the sweet word of the Vedas. Partha nanya na anyat asti iti vadinaha. O Partha, there is nothing else.
That is a Karma Bhaga Veda.
Yes.
People only keep talking about that, but they are not practicing Veda. Hence,
Yeah, because you
that
have the
is not
Karma
great.
Kanda. You have Karma
Karma
Kanda. So
Bhaga.
43rd verse talks about that. Kamatmanah swarga paraha janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati.
Yeah.
So
This is the karma on Kamya Phala, expecting Phala.
yes,
So that is what the goal that is not supported.
yes. So the why people recite Vedas or do something is with this in mind, because it has that also. So he says,
I fully got it. I think if you do the Veda, if you recite or if you chant Veda with the intention of mukti, then it will take you there. But all of us, we are doing with the Kamya Phala. That means he gave me health, wealth, and all that. That is the problem.
No, because in the Vedas you have both. You have Kamya Karma as well as the path to liberation. And the easiest of one is what? Kamya Phala.
Again coming back to the world.
Yes. Because we don't want to leave the world, right?
So Veda gives both, huh?
Yes, it gives both. You just read verse number 45.
I understood. Yes.
No, the 45th one.
It is like an analogy is that, okay, take a coconut, you require the core only. The core is the one which you require, but there are so many shells before you reach the core.
Correct.
But they are all required to hold the core. But unfortunately, if you keep on working with the shells,
Yes.
this is exactly what in Kannada you have one ತಿರಳು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಚಿಪ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ
Correct.
chip ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು they say. So you are always holding on to the core. So rituals were perhaps required to hold the core in place. The point is that unfortunately we are holding on to those rituals. If once you are able to reach the core, rituals are not required at all. So even in Vedas, those rituals must have been to hold the core.
Yeah. It gives both complete knowledge.
Yes. So it is now 9:30. I think somebody wanted to jump into the meeting. 9:30. Padmashri, you wanted to leave or?
Yeah, I'm already late for the meeting. I will leave. I will leave.
Okay, then we will do one thing. We will also end for today and we will continue on Monday.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay then.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, Padmashri.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Alu.